Well, David Icke advises in How to Win an Argument with an Idiot is that you don't. First of all, you actually can't, because their egos are really wrapped around their beliefs. And two, the idiot will never know when they've lost. And I don't think David Icke was talking actually about idiots, which is a psychological category of mental deficiency. I think he was talking about the ignoranus, the one that'll argue even though they have never read a book on the subject, don't know anything about what they're talking about, but they'll stand stalwart because they've heard it on NPR or MSNBC or Fox News. That's where they get the information. And the reason I think he was talking about the ignoranus, because I can remember Psychology 101. Now, I went to school a long time ago, and they still use the categories of idiot, imbecile, and moron. Now, I guess it's politically incorrect.
That's right.
Yeah, it's just different levels of mental, defectiveness or mental retardation, I think they call it. But back then, I can remember learning that the idiots had an IQ range of below 20, and the imbeciles ranged between 20 and 49, and then there was a category of moron, which is the 50 to 69 IQ. So that's how they had these people categorized. And idiots are, of course, the slowest of all. And I can remember back then when I first realized this and really grokked with this, you have idiots that are really, they feel themselves really lucky to become an imbecile. Or imbeciles studying so they can learn to be a moron. Mm-hmm. But I don't mean to be cruel.
To reach a higher position in life.
Reach a higher position in life. And I'm just glad that myself and nobody that I know is in one of these categories. But I think we all know people that are in the category of ignoranus. And maybe because of my discussion on them, idiot and moron, maybe you think I'm an ignoranus. No, maybe I am. But I think he was talking about ignoranuses because they're really difficult to deal with. And kind of waking up, examining your beliefs and moving along and encountering these ignoranuses. I'm reminded of a George Carlin joke. He used to say, just because you got the monkey off of your back doesn't mean that the circus has left town, which I think is really perfect. Because here you are with your clear-minded beliefs and your examined beliefs, and you're really trying to find out truth, and you're surrounded, clowns to the left of me, jokers to the right. Here I am, stuck in the middle with these ignoranuses.
I love that song.
Yeah.
That reminds me of that great William Gibson quote, before you diagnose yourself with depression or low self-esteem, first make sure you are not, in fact, simply surrounded by assholes. Yeah, and I think we are for the most part.
Well, it feels like that because they really don't know how to deal with they haven't examined where they've gotten those ideas, and then they haven't taken them any further. So their ego is defending it. That's their worldview. They have to have that in order to function.
In order for their own self-esteem, they have to feel some kind of a stable platform to stand on, right, surrounded by things that you believe to be the case.
Right, and I think that the difference, the thing that we're kind of advocating, is that rather than standing on shaky ground, actually find out. If you're a global warming fan, if you believe that that's an important thing, then investigate the other side of the picture. Find out, but you go for truth. Make your best friend the guy who doesn't believe it at all, and talk all the time and try to get to the bottom of it. There's some truth there.
Yeah, but I think that people kind of feel that they've gathered the information enough to form their opinion, and then they don't need to go any further. They don't take it any further than just getting to a point where they have an opinion one way or the other, and then standing to defend that belief
that's
against
exactly
any
right. And I would
opposition.
I would take it one step further. I think that the way people make their decisions and what they believe is, first of all, what they've heard. I mean, from their parents, at schooling. Notice I didn't say education. What they were taught in school. And then they come out and it's consensual reality. So it's really an unexamined belief because, 50,000 Frenchmen can't be wrong. That's a really old expression. That means
That's very outdated.
Yeah, it's very outdated, but okay.
But I know what you mean, but I'm not sure anyone else listening
It
knows.
just means that if there's all these Catholics on the earth, I mean, Catholicism must be right because all these people couldn't be that wrong.
Right, exactly.
It's an argument with absolutely no merit, but it's still...
But it is the way it is today. I mean, if you don't agree with the consensus of most of the people around you, then you're outcast and you're alienated and you have nowhere to belong. So
Right.
you almost have to take on the beliefs of everyone else just to get along, just to get by.
Right.
Which is
Because what a stuck position that is.
totally stuck, and it leaves everybody stuck there forever because no one's willing to venture outside.
No,
of
and
the
you're stuck
commonly
in your
held
side, and I'm
beliefs.
stuck in my side, and both of our egos are going to defend themselves. So the phenomenon of the ignoranus is really just an ego trying to defend the defenseless, trying to defend something that they've been told, they've heard, but really haven't examined. It would be great if, there could be a strategy or something to be able to make people relax. Hey, look, I'm not trying to destroy your world. I just want to find out, what is a world? What is going on here?
Yeah. Yeah, with love, so people don't feel attacked and they don't have to come from a defensive position and a place of where they need to argue with you
Right.
if they don't agree.
So the whole thing is kind of reconceptualizing the ignoranus to being someone who is kind of out there in their own world, and they're in.
Well, it's the only thing you can really do, isn't it? Because I mean, you have to approach everything and everyone from a state of love. Well, here's my strategy. I guess I approach it from the point of view of a mother with a young child who's biting the other kids, and you just continue to love them. They don't know that what they're doing is wrong. So it's like, what is that expression? Forgive them, for they know not what they do.
Well, I also think that when you're dealing with an ignoranus, don't take it personally. I mean, you're learning about the world as much as you can in your own way, and I'm sure you'd like to help them along, help them examine, but they might not be open to it. So you're just concern yourself with that you're not damaged by it, that you still are in pursuit of truth, and that there's nothing wrong with you for having an outside viewpoint. It's really, if it's an examined viewpoint. Let me give you an example. A long time ago, I started saying things like, well, the universe meant this to happen, or, this is the will of the universe, or the universe is unfolding the way it should. And someone said to me, wow, you use that all the time and make those references. You talk like an astrologer. I said, well, that's pretty strange. And I was in the know, you know, I had the consensual reality that astrology is nonsense. They put it on the funny paper. And so I got some books in order to try to debunk it. It was my project was debunking astrology. But the more I read, the more I found that there's really some basis and some, even if it's simply explanatory, some basis in reality. And I found out that the psychopathic elites that run the world use any type of magic that they can, and astrology is a tool that they use all the time. There's an old J.P. Morgan quote that goes something like, millionaires don't need astrology, billionaires do.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to be, you know, I did a few charts myself. I really got into it, and I really gained a whole different understanding of life through the study of the planets and how they affect things and the metaphors and that. But when I talk to somebody, most people on this subject are really ignoramuses. When I talk to somebody, they really will shoot from the hip to tell me how silly astrology is. But, you know, I'll ask them, well, how many books have you read on the subject? You know, what research have you done? And invariably, there's no research. So I would like to sit down with someone else and arrive at really what is the truth. When I did my study of astrology, I came up with it's pretty valid, although, you know, the science, a lot of the science has been lost down through the years because it was so condemned. But what's left of it really, you know, I think contributes to my information and how I look at the world. But anyway.
But the really cool thing about that is that you started out trying to debunk it, coming in with an opinion that it was worthy of being debunked. And we're able to keep your mind open to new information coming in and changing your opinion.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Letting go of one old opinion and replacing it with a new, more expanded opinion.
Right, and actually having astrology in my life makes my life more fun.
Now there's a great criteria for changing a belief,
Yeah,
isn't it?
that is. It's like it does. It adds to my life and making it fun. And there are some insights. You know, no matter how you examine what you're doing in life, it's beneficial. And examining through the lens of astrology is, I think, quite valid. But anyway, I take a lot of pot shots on that one from the ignoranuses. You know, as we were going through this, talking about how people form and defend their beliefs, it's like they form a little shell around their belief, and they'll defend it to the death. It's really, especially if it's a strongly held belief.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, in looking at how this is achieved, it's generally achieved through schooling and the mass media and exposure to what's the popular norm of what
Mm-hmm.
is
repetitive.
yeah,
too,
right,
isn't it?
right, repetitive. And I also think the surrounding culture reinforces, especially in men, to have strong beliefs and don't be afraid to defend your beliefs. I mean, it's sign of a. I mean, if you walk up to somebody and you ask them, how do you feel about that? And they turn to you and say, well, I don't have an opinion on that subject. I mean, it really would be weird.
That's very rare to have someone admit they didn't have an opinion on something.
That they're open-minded and they could be persuaded either way.